And welcome everyone to the Cover1 pregame show. I'm your host, Matt Trammell. Me, James Bellini, and Ryan Chadwick are going to be taking you all across the Concho Valley to see all the games that are going to go on tonight and, of course, break them all down. Before we get into all the action, going to bring in my co-host here, James Bellini. James, you've seen a lot of practice this week, so how's these Concho Valley teams looking?
Man, they're looking good. You know, they need to get healthy for the district run coming up, so...
And Chadwick, can you believe we're already at week 5?
Now, we were just talking about this. We think it's because maybe the NFL season started so late, but it's like, wow, after this week, we go into the big bye week for most of these teams, and it's like, we're already halfway over? What happened?
I know. Then it's on to district from there. Okay, we're going to get into all the action, including the Central Bobcats, right after this, but first, just a quick message from the Bass Bunch.
The Nissan Titan can get the job done by flexing its muscle, commanding attention, and tackling the big jobs head-on. The fearless 2023 Nissan Titan full-size truck is the truck for you. Right now at Jim Bass, get a new Nissan Titan and get 10 grand off MSRP. At these savings, these trucks won't last long. Come see us today at Jim Bass Nissan, corner of Houston Hart and Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
All right, let's get into some of the action. Of course, the very first game that we're going to be talking about is the Central Bobcats taking on the Abilene Wylie Bulldogs. Ryan Chadwick is our Bobcat expert, so we'll pitch it to him. Chadwick, what does everyone need to know about this game?
Last week, the Bobcats lost a close one in Belton to Belton in a game where most of the wounds that the Bobcats suffered were self-inflicted. Wylie is a better team than Belton, and if the Bobcats play like they did last week, it won't be a 3-point loss, it'll be a 30-point loss, you know? So the Bobcats need to come correct this week, and I think they will. Like, Coach Crane was really disgruntled with his team at the press conference on Monday, but he also said that they're on the cusp of putting it all together. This is a young team that has had these growing pains, and I think this will be the first week that they kind of break out of these growing pains. Wylie likes to spread the ball around. They have a very talented offense. The quarterback's going to have open receivers, and they are going to score points on this Bobcats defense. But with that being said, I don't see the Bulldogs stopping the Bobcats either. Christian English threw for over 350 yards and ran for almost 200 more last week, accounted for almost every Bobcat touchdown that was put on the board. So he's my player to watch this week. Watch Squeaky English out there go out and put some massive numbers up against the Bulldogs.
And of course, Chadwick, we cannot skip over this game without talking about last year. Of course, everybody saw it. It was on ESPN on that Friday night, Sports Center Top 10, and it was the Hail Mary where Tyler Hill was able to score last second. Is there any chance we're going to see a little bit of a rewatch of what we saw last year?
Well, I think it's important to note that that's what this kind of matchup is going to be. It's going to be who can score the most and who has the ball last. I don't think it's going to be about how many stops each team's defense is going to get, because this isn't going to be a 13-10 game. I'm projecting points up in the 50s with the over-under on this one being 100, you know, so across that spread. But if the Bobcats are going to have to rely on another miracle Hail Mary play like that Tyler Hill to Ben Imler last play of the game scenario like it was in San Angelo Stadium last year, I don't think it's going to work out well for the Bobcats. They need to come to Abilene and play disciplined football. They can't turn the ball over. And guys, you got to have less than 20 penalties. Like, they had 20 penalties against Belton last week, and it was not a clean game. So that's why Central looked so lopsided on the spreadsheet. They outgained Belton in every single category, you know. So if the Bobcats limit the turnovers, limit the penalties, I think they're going to win this game.
Okay, Chadwick, so usually my question at this point would be when and where is the game? It's still going to be that, but I'm going to throw a little extra wrench in it. How are you getting there?
Okay, so this week, Jim Bass Cars and Trucks up there on Arden Road is actually letting us take one of their new hybrid Mazdas to the game, just to kind of see how their new 2024 vehicles ride, you know. So the cool thing about this car is that it has an electric battery and a gas engine. That's what the hybrid means there. And the electric battery will have about 30 miles of charge. And so, like, that's one of those, if you're looking to save some money on gas, these cars are really the way to go. And of course, after that battery runs out, it switches over to a gas engine, and then it's just gas from there on out. But we're going to be documenting a little bit of that trip to see how much money that we're saving on gas, and just a big shout out to Jim Bass for letting us do this.
Yeah, and of course we'll hear a little bit more about the EV experience with Jim Bass, especially when it comes to football season and having to travel everywhere. So make sure you stay tuned for that. Moving on, but before we do, I want to let you know that our central coverage this year is brought to you by Angelo Bolt. Opened in 1994, Angelo Bolt Industrial Supply has served the Concho Valley for 29 years and counting. Angelo Bolt is the go-to place for fasteners, power tools, air compressors, safety equipment, and everything in between. Chances are Angelo Bolt will always have what you need when you need it, and in the rare chance they don't have that odd fastener or special part you're looking for, they'll find it fast. No request is too big or too small at Angelo Bolt at 808 Warehouse Road, where customer service is their top priority. Thank you, Angelo Bolt, for bringing us all of our Central Bobcat action. Okay, moving into our next game. I'm super excited for this one because my Levelland Lobos are coming into town. And not only are they coming into town, boys, but they're coming into town to spoil Lakeview's homecoming. That's right. As a Levelland High School alum and former team captain of the Lobos, I think it's safe to say that I'm a big fan of the Lobos and really think that they're gonna get this one done tonight. But am I nervous? A little bit. Last week, Lakeview played an incredible game offensively. I mean, their quarterback had 5 touchdowns. Of course, Michael Duran had 3 touchdowns and over 200 yards receiving. Talking about crazy numbers for the Chiefs against a Lubbock High team that Levelland beat 2 weeks ago. So I think it's going to be ultra competitive, and of course it's homecoming, so you never really know what might happen down there at San Angelo Stadium.
Matt, this Lakeview team has actually looked pretty good. Their quarterbacks look pretty good, the receivers look good, defenses look good. How is Levelland going to spoil their homecoming? I mean, how do you think they're going to do that?
Well, I think the chance for Levelland is to, of course, create turnovers. We beat Lubbock High 23-24, and the reason was because an interception returned for a touchdown. So the key for Levelland in this one will be, of course, limiting turnovers, but also getting some of those from Lakeview, who we know has a tendency to give up crazy, wild plays and things like that. But for you guys listening in San Angelo, I'll give you some hope for the Chiefs. They've looked as good as probably we've seen them in the past few years. Last week, they just tore it up offensively, but their defense still needs a little bit of work. And so with that, I think that we might be riding high as the Lobos taking that 3.5-hour drive home.
All right, and where is this game at?
San Angelo Stadium, 7 o'clock. Make sure you're there. Be there or be square, I guess, as they say. Moving on to our next game, but before we do, our Lakeview coverage this week is brought to you by Intertel. Intertel is a proud sponsor of this Cover1 football show. Intertel has been providing cutting-edge but proven technology for homes and businesses in the Concho Valley. Just like the game of football, a good defense is important to winning. Need a security system or camera? Get a free quote today by visiting Intertel.com or by calling 325-658-8375. Okay, moving on to our next game. Gonna go over there to James. James, this one's very interesting for you. You've been covering the Brady Bulldogs like crazy this year, and now they're gonna be taking on your alma mater, that is the Cristobal Cougars. Break it down for me.
All right, last week Brady got a win, their first win of the season under new head coach Jaron Roberts, 26-21 over Dublin. This week they're taking on Cristobal, smaller school. Cristobal is a 2A. 2A1 school or 2A2 school they're smaller than Brady. They both have young quarterbacks. Sean Jacoby out in Brady is a sophomore. I think Stanton McLaughlin there, and Cristobal's a sophomore. They also have 2 really good running games. Jake Edmonston and Manuel Rojas for Cristobal have been the workhorses there. Darrell Adair, Zeke Jones there in Brady have been the workhorses. And the passing game is getting there. The offense is getting there. I think it's going to be just a ground-heavy game. What's going to come down to is how can this Cristobal defense stop Adair and Zeke Jones? It's thunder and lightning there, for Brady. And for Brady, that defense is going to have to swallow up that run and put pressure on the quarterback. One thing about Cristobal's quarterback, or Jacoby there and Brady, he will throw an interception, but he's young, so they got to get pressure if they want to win this game.
Now, James, when you have two teams like this who are young on both sides of the ball, is it really going to come down to the fact that they're just two different classifications here? Is one just too big for the other, or is it going to come down to head coaching experience? Because we know Otho's had that program in place for a while, and this is Coach Roberts' first year. What will be the deciding factor in this game?
I think the team size has a little bit to do. We're going to talk to Otho, here coming up on this show. He's he has like 15 kids on his varsity, so I think that will affect a little bit here and there. But yeah, it's experience though. You have an experienced bunch out at Brady, even though it's a new head coach, and you have a not so experienced bunch there in Cristobal, even though Otho has had a very successful program out there at Cristobal for as long as he's been there.
All right, James, and where and when is this game at?
This game is in Cristobal at Jack Pardee Stadium at 7 o'clock.
All right, y'all make sure to go out there, of course, check out on the Cover 1 halftime and post-game show. We're going to move on, but first, before we do, we're going to go down to Brady to Destination Ford, where Mark Smith has the Redneck Deal of the Week. So with that, Mark, what's the deal?
Good evening, Brady. Hey, this is Mark Smith, Smitty the Redneck, coming to you from Destination Ford. We're proud to be a sponsor of Brady football this year, and we've got a great Redneck special for you this week. 22 Explorers have up to $4,000 cash off of the MSRP and 1.9% financing with approved credit. Come out and grab one of our Explorers. Go Bulldogs!
All right, so go out to Brady to make sure you get that great deal. You're not going to get that anywhere else but Destination Ford of Brady. And, of course, tell Mark and the gang that the Cover 1 crew sent you. Moving on to our next game, we're going to kick it over there to Chadwick. He is going to break down this matchup between the Miles Bulldogs and the Ozona Lions. Chadwick, what should we know about this one?
Well, the Ozona Lions are kind of a head-scratcher this year. After having such a dominating performance in Week 1, they've kind of been back and forth ever since then, and they come to this matchup with the Bulldogs, sporting a 2-2 overall record. Miles, on the other hand, they dropped their one game that they really wanted against the Sterling City Eagles out there. But other than that, they've been pretty much completely they've won in complete dominating fashion, week in, week out. So, this game's really going to come down to who executes and if the Ozona defense can slow down the explosive offense from the Bulldogs. You got guys who are just going off, of course, one of the best quarterbacks in the Concho Valley, if not all of 2A football in Haven Book over there. And I really think the Lions are going to struggle slowing down that passing attack. But on the other side of that, Miles' defense has got to really put it together and stop Ozona from scoring.
Man, one thing about this matchup last year, Hudson Fowler for Ozona, he was 11 for 11 for 250 yards and 3 touchdowns. He was perfect on the game. And that Miles defense, it's a new scheme. How does that factor into stopping this Ozona offense?
So I think that Miles got smaller on the defensive front this year, but they've also gotten a lot faster, right? They're a lot like the Wall Hawks. Not as big and talented as the Wall Hawks are at this point in the season, but they're putting it together. They're limiting offensive opportunities on the other side of the ball, and they're really good at giving that ball back to Haven Book and the rest of the offense. So, like I said, I think that the real factor in this game is going to be whether or not Ozona can slow Miles down. And, of course, the defense is going to have to show up as well because Ozona can score at will. We saw that against TLCA, but this one's just going to be a high-flying matchup.
All right, and when and where is this game at, Chadwick?
This game is – I just dropped my paper, guys. I'm so sorry.
This game's in Ozona.
Yeah, this game is in Ozona, and the kickoff is at 7 p.m.
All right. Perfect. There we go. Just a little bit of a matchup between Miles and Ozona. And, of course, the scoreboard tonight is brought to you by Texas Bank. Locally owned and governed, Texas Bank is a proud sponsor of Cover 1 Athletics. Just like the guys on the field, Texas Bank wants to show you what it means to be a team. From checking to savings to personal loans to commercial loans, Texas Bank is here for San Angeloans with 3 convenient locations. So, when thinking where to bank, use the local guys at Texas Bank. Okay, moving on to our next game. It is going to be a good matchup between the 2-2 TLCA Eagles and the 1-3 Stanton Buffaloes. Boys, if I told you in June of this past year that there would be the TLCA Eagles would be have the most wins out of any San Angelo school, you'd think I was crazy. But I'm not crazy. 2-2 now. They have won more games than Central and Lakeview, and you could even say they've won more than, well, they won the same, but both of them combined, right? So the Eagles have definitely had their hardships this year, of course, losing their starting coach, but then last week go out against an Ingram Moore team, has the lead almost going into halftime. Last 2 minutes of the game, give up a couple of scores, and all the momentum just goes to Ingram Moore. But TLCA never stopped fighting, and of course Lane Honey put on a show out there, and I expect this one to be just as good as it was last week. It's in San Angelo Stadium. Don't expect a blowout, but expect this thing to be ultra competitive throughout the whole entire night.
Yeah, I think you meant Lakeview Stadium on that one,
What
Matt.
did I say?
But you said San Angelo Stadium. I was like, I think the Chiefs are out there tonight.
Oh,
you know?
Matt, we don't want Yanis hearing that.
Right. But anyway, Lane Honey, of course, is had an incredible year this year, throwing the ball through the air. It seems like he's kind of figured things out with throwing interceptions and whatnot, and he's got a really talented target in Jaden Villanueva. Despite being able to score all these points, like, what's it going to take for these Eagles on defense to get some stops and get off the field?
Well, I mean, it's simple as just flying around to the football and getting everybody there. But, I mean, honestly, they're just really offensively heavy this year. And, their defense is just going to have to learn how to do some things moving into district. But I think they're getting pretty prepared for district. I think that, defense is going to struggle, but they're probably one of the more powerful offenses in that district. So I think they'll end up just hanging on by just being able to outscore some of those teams.
So they're kind of like my own Bobcats,
Always bringing it back.
I have to. Nah, Central's defense is getting better, and I know the Eagles' defense is always improving every week too. So, Matt, go ahead and tell us when and where that's at.
Of course, this game is going to be at San Angelo Stadium.
You did it again.
Okay, Lakeview Stadium. Lakeview Stadium, and that kickoff is at 7 o'clock. Moving into our next game, but of course the TLCA game tonight is brought to you by Hartman Roofing. If you want to stay in the game, don't get beat over the top. At Hartman Roofing, the proof is in the roof. From residential houses to commercial buildings, Hartman Roofing is the roofer you can trust to do it right the first time. To get a quote today, call Hartman Roofing at 325-653-2888. Moving into our next game here. This is going to be the final game we cover, and we are the real Texas high school football show now, boys, because we're talking about six-man football. That's right. Very best taking on Panther Creek. James, I know you wanted to take the role on this one, so I'll pitch it to you. What should the fans know about this good matchup here?
Yeah, both these teams are undefeated. Panther Creek's 3-0, Very Best is 4-0, and Very Best is just a very good team. Their stats are through the roof. I mean, the Hunter Hallmark, their quarterback, he was Dave Campbell's 1A quarterback or 1A classification quarterback of the week this past week. Super sophomore Bryce Martin has put up really good numbers. They have like 12 touchdowns passing, and 7 players have at least one touchdown. Running the ball, they have Martin has over 200 yards and 7 scores. They're just playing outstanding football right now. And Panther Creek has, looking at their opponents, I think they're all winless. So I really think Very Best needs to take this one and run with it.
So every year, the six-man game may come down to who can win the battle out here in West Texas. Do you think there's any chance that the Falcons may be able to weather the storm and get all the way there?
Man, that district is Erie County, Menard, Robert Lee, Very Best, and that's a loaded district. So obviously in 1A, only 2 teams go out of a district. But the bad news is they're going up against that Jonesboro-May district, which is a monster district in and of itself. But Very Best keeps playing well. They could very well be that team that makes a run towards Jerry World this year.
Okay, well, where's this game at?
This game is at Very Best at 7:30 p.m.
Okay, make sure you guys go out there for that one. But before we move on, the very best game tonight is brought to you by the Dry Devils River Music Flood. This Saturday, down in Sonora, Texas, Treaty Oak Revival headlines the Dry Devil Music River Flood at the Sutton County Pavilion. If you haven't seen Treaty Oak, this is a great chance to watch a great show. Slade Coulter, the Damn Torpedoes, and Dylan Gully open. That's the Dry Devils River Flood this Saturday in Sonora. Gates open at 5 o'clock. Music starts at 6. There's a barbecue cookout, too. To get advance tickets online, just type Devils River Music Flood into your Google search bar. We will see you there on Saturday. Okay, moving on into our next segment, which is our coach's interview. Before we get into it, though, let me let you know we have head coach Casey Otho, so stick around. But first, we're going to go back to Jim Bass to talk a little bit more about their EV package.
All right, joining me is Braulio here at Jim Bass Cars and Trucks. And Braulio, go ahead and tell me a little bit about this car that you got for us today.
Absolutely. This is a 2024 Mazda CX-90 plug-in hybrid electric vehicle. That's what the PHEV stands for. And the reason that this vehicle is so attractive to people right now, there's a lot of up in the air or people that are on the fence, where they don't know if they should get an electric vehicle. They don't know if they should just, spend the money, make the commitment. This is a great vehicle for those kinds of people, and the reason is this is still a gasoline-powered vehicle. On top of the fact that it is also powered by the electric battery. So this vehicle is great for a lot of people because 90% of people drive under 20 miles a day. Okay, now the electric battery has about a 25-mile range on it. Okay, it's not much, but if you work a few miles away from home, then you're never going to use gas ever. Now, if you want to take this on an out-of-town trip, then you can go ahead and do that. It'll run out of the electric juice, very fast, and then you just go on your way. It's got about almost a 400-mile capacity as far as a gasoline engine goes. And you don't ever have to recharge it. You can just, if you're going to be out of town for 4 days or whatever, you can just keep putting gas in it. When you get back home, then you can go back to recharging it, and then you go back to no gas.
So essentially, if we are just driving this thing around town to work back and forth every day, that's really where you're going to see the savings on that gas bill every month.
Absolutely. Like I said, 90% of people drive less than 20 miles a day. I live right off of Southland over here, so I mean, I don't even drive 10 miles a day in most cases. If you go to Walmart, you go to H-E-B, something like that, that's just a few miles a day. You don't have to recharge. And the best thing about it is every night when you plug in, because it's a small capacity battery, you should have a full charge the next morning. It's kind of like plugging in your cell phone,
So when someone wants to purchase one of these bad boys from Jim Bass, does it come with a charger and all that stuff?
Yes, this one in particular does. Every manufacturer is still kind of going back and forth on that, on whether they're going to include the charger, whether they're not going to include the charger. So it's very vehicle specific, depending, and sometimes it's even year specific. Some, depending on the year, might include the charger, some it might not. But you can actually just plug this into a regular 120 outlet, and it does come with what they call a mobile charger. So you don't have to have like anything built into your garage. You don't have to have an electrician come out. You don't have to do any of that stuff. You just plug in the mobile charger into any regular electrical outlet, like you do you plug in your cell phone or a toaster into or whatever, and that'll do the job right there. Usually 6 hours or so will get you about a full charge, maybe less if you're not at zero.
And Jim Bass is actually being nice enough to allow me to take one of these things to the Central Bobcats game against Abilene Wylie tonight in Abilene, and we will be able to kind of document how the car drives, how effective the battery is, and like how good of gas mileage that this particular model gets. And but just for the people out there, what kind of gas mileage does this car get on top of the charge?
You're going to get about, I believe it's right about 29 miles a gallon, so it's actually really good. Even if if it was just a regular gasoline vehicle, it's going to be good compared to just about any third row vehicle out there. It gets you great gas mileage even if it wasn't an electric vehicle. Now on top of that, you have the electric capacity, which 0 miles, zero gasoline spent for up to about 25 miles. So.
Okay, well, this has been Braulio. He's joined me here at Jim Bass Cars and Trucks to demo this nice Mazda for you. And is there anything else that you just want to throw out there to the people who are looking to buy this car?
No, like I said, this is very different. A lot of people haven't heard about these. A lot of times they hear about just full electric or non-plug-in hybrid. So if you've never heard of one of these, come on by and I'll show you how to plug it in. I'll show you how to use it. It's a touch of a button to switch between the gas and the electric, but the vehicle does it for you, so you don't even have to worry about that. I urge you to come down here and just check it out. I'll drive it with you here at Jim Bass Cars and Trucks. My name is Braulio. I go by B. Just come in and ask for me and I'll tell you all about it.
And welcome back to the show. Today for our coach's interview, we are with head coach of the Cristobal Cougars, head coach Casey Otho, ahead of their game against the Brady Bulldogs. Coach, I'll bring you in here. My first question is very simple. What should people expect in this matchup tonight?
What we're going to do is we're going to continue to stick with our game plan, continue to get better, continue to let our young kids grow, become more cohesive. And that's getting better and better each week with these guys, understanding the offense. Everybody's new to a position, and just looking forward to, just not peaking right now, which we're not. But when it clicks, I really have a really good feeling about it.
All right, Coach. You talked about talk about your new names out there. You got a whole bunch of new kids up on the offensive line. New quarterback. Got to talk about that for a second.
Well, you kind of look back on it, we only have, 3 or 4 guys that actually, played a significant role on our team last year. I mean, by significant, they were either full-time starters or, played, one way or the other. But for the most part, our offensive line is a new group of guys trying to get together and be on the same page. We got a new quarterback taking varsity snaps for the first time this season. Last year was his first year to actually play a full season without being injured. So he's getting better and better each week. And, Daniel and Chris in the backfield, they got experience, but not as full-time starters in the backfield.
And Coach, going into this matchup with Brady, of course they're known for having a pretty solid defense, but they're also a really young team. Do you think that's something that y'all will be able to exploit a little bit?
Kind of this year we've kind of been just focusing on ourselves right now. We just want to go out there and do the best that we can do as a team, as a group. And when it's all said and done, at the end of the day, the real question is, it's not did we win or lose, but just did we get better.
All right, Coach. Well, the Cougars right now 1-3. Brady Bulldogs right now 1-3. How do you like the matchup between those between two teams that just got one win on the win column so far this season?
Well, we both played a pretty tough schedule, and that's not by accident. Those are things that are done on purpose to prepare your guys for a tough district run and things like that. So, I've had teams that are 5-0 going into district and end up 6-5. There's just a lot of things that are unsure right now, uncertain, just kind of how we're going to be. So, this matchup is going to be, it's kind of one of the things where we're both pretty hungry for another W.
I know you talked about the uncertainties there. Talk about your certainties. You got Manny Rojas, who's a fantastic player. Jake Edmonston is a good player too. Talk about those guys real quick, what they mean to your team.
Oh, they mean a lot. They bring leadership. They bring experience, and I feel comfortable, when it's time to put the ball or, the game on their shoulders, if we got a chance. And those are the two guys, that have had that experience at that significant experience at the varsity level. And we trust them as a coaching staff, and their teammates trust them.
And Coach White, we've talked about the offense now. Let's get into it a little bit on the defensive side of the ball. How have y'all progressed as the season's gone along, and what steps are y'all taking to limit what other teams can do on offense?
Well, it's kind of the same story. We got a whole new defense. Lost a lot of good defensive players last year. These guys, again, They're learning every day. Coach Downey's got them. We're trying to get better and better every day, and they are getting better. That's one of the things I'm proud of, is that they don't really take any steps back. It's a matter of trusting what the coaches say. It's a matter of trusting in them and believing in themselves. And so when it comes, and it's the same group of guys that are on the offensive side. We don't have a very deep varsity this year. We're carrying about 18, 19 kids, and that's not by accident. I mean, we've got like 25, 28 kids on our JV. It's just that these guys need the most experience they can and take as many reps as they can.
All right, Coach, and then we'll just end here on a final thought from you. Just get the folks in Christoval excited for this matchup.
Well, like I said, I mean, we're coming off a really tough game against a top 10 team in the state, and we learned from it, and we're going to continue to learn from each week. And I know this community is not going to give up on these kids, and these kids aren't going to give up on this community. And it's just, I'm excited to see what the next 6 weeks have.
All right, this has been head coach of the Christoval Cougars, Casey HoCo. Coach, good luck in the game tonight.
Appreciate it.
All right.
Thank you, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
So gross.
Right now, get 15% off carpet cleaning from Carpet Tech.
All right. Thank you, of course, Jim Bassford and Coach Otho for coming on the show. Remember, he's going to be taking on the Brady Bulldogs tonight in Christoval. All right, moving into our next segment, and that would be our Player of the Week. Of course, our Player of the Week is brought to you by Carpet Tech. Carpet Tech is a proud sponsor of Cover1 Athletics, and this year brings you the Cover1 Player of the Week. Carpet Tech is your local go-to carpet cleaner. Remember, if your home's in a wreck, call Carpet Tech at 325-999-5142. Okay, before we announce it, I want to just pass this around a little bit just to give some of the nominees before we officially announce it. I know if you follow us on Facebook, you might already know who it is, but that's okay. We're still going to do this, play along with us. Chadwick, I'm going to go to you first. If you had a nominee this week, who would it be?
Well, we were kind of looking at defensive guys this week, but like if I would have had to pick somebody, it was gonna be Bobcats quarterback Christian English. The young man threw for over 350 yards and 4 touchdowns last week. He had over 150 yards rushing and 2 touchdowns on the ground. Again, 0 interception. Argue who the fumble was against, the running back or the quarterback there, but really he just played an excellent game. That performance last week is the reason why he is my player to watch for this week.
And I'll go next. For me, it was actually a game that I'm hoping doesn't happen again this week, and that would be Michael Duran from Lakeview. The kid had over 200 yards on receiving and 3 touchdowns. I mean, he tore up Lubbock High, so let's really cross our fingers and hope it doesn't happen to Levelland. But hey, for all you Chiefs fans, really, I guess I hope it does happen.
All right, and here we go into the Player of the Week. Before we get there, though, DeMarcus Reed, sophomore defensive tackle from Brady, had an outstanding game. Ethan Mickelwitz from Wall had an outstanding game. Tristan Alvarado. Edgar DeLuna, of course, had 20 tackles for Sonora. All these players played fantastic, but our Player of the Week went to linebacker receiver from Miles, Jalen Torres. He had 13 tackles, 3 for loss, 3 sacks, and a forced fumble. On offense, he had 3 catches, took 1 to the house for a touchdown for 49 yards. Just explosive. That's all you can say about the kid. He'll let you know how explosive he is in his when we talk to him here in a second.
And James, the deciding factor in this one was those 3 sacks and the forced fumble, was it not? Like, we all know how
that's
hard.
Super impressive. That's a really impressive deal.
As a Cowboys fan, you know how hard it is for those defensive linemen to get in the backfield, but Micah Parsons really changed his game no matter what he does. So when you have a dominant defensive linebacker or defensive lineman get after the quarterback, like, what does that do for like your offense's confidence?
Oh, it helps his confidence across the board. If you can get back there and get in that quarterback's face and make him throw an incompletion, that's a big play at that point. That's a huge play at that point. The sack's an even bigger play. The fumbles are big plays. It just helps build momentum on your side. So it's great for your team.
All right, and that we're gonna go. Oh, I'm sorry.
No, I'm just if you have a player or whatever you want to get, send us messages, let us know, send us stats.
Absolutely. Can't let the people know about them if we don't know about them. So if we're not seeing them, you go ahead and let us know. Okay, we're going to go down to Miles. James earlier this week went out and interviewed our player of the week. So we're going to go to that. But first, a quick message from Carpet Tech.
Ew, that's so gross.
Right now, get 15% off carpet cleaning from Carpet Tech.
I'm here with Jalen Torres, linebacker, junior linebacker out here at Miles. Cover one Carpet Tech's player of the week for week 5. Great player. You had 3 sacks in the game last week. Man, talk about it.
It was explosive. I mean, I was off the ball every time. Just, I was in that backfield. Can't get too far upfield and be a sure tackler. That's how you got to be.
And you had 3 sacks, a forced fumble. On offense, you had 1 or 2 catches?
3 catches. Actually.
3 catches for 42 yards and a touchdown. I mean, that's impressive in itself, man. Just how do you think you helped this team out?
I play explosively. I play till the whistle. Hardly any breaks. So I'm everywhere. Just got to be explosive and got to play hard every play.
All right, man. What's the goal for this season?
Oh man, make it past first round. We can't be first round exits again.
And what about you personally? What do you want to do personally?
I want to be up there. I want to be MVP for something. Mainly defense, because I've been working my tail off for defense.
All right, man. This has been Jalen Torres, linebacker out here at Miles High School.
With impressive range, sports car performance, roomy interior, and innovative technology, the all-electric 2023 Ford Mustang Mach-E is the vehicle for you. And right now, at Jim Bass, you can lease a brand new 2023 Ford Mustang Mach-E for only $584 down and $584 per month for 36 months. You can only find deals like these at Jim Bass Ford, at the corner of Houston Hart and Arden Road, or shop 24/7 at bassbunch.com.
All right, and that was James Bellini with Jaden Torres from the Miles Bulldogs. Great kid, great interview, and also just a great football player. Want to let you guys know that the award sponsor this year is Yours Truly Engraving and Awards. Every athlete has one thing, and that's their eye on the prize at Yours Truly Awards. They offer engravings, plaques, trophies, and more. This year, Yours Truly will provide awards for all of our Cover 1 Players of the Week winners and, of course, our All-Star team at the end of the year. Go see the folks at Yours Truly today at 2438 Sherwood Way, right next to Papa John's. James, I know that you've been dealing a lot with Yours Truly. How's your experience been?
It's been incredible. I get them an email, and they have it done that day, a couple hours later. So if you have any needs as far as trophies or plaques or medals or anything, hey, call those guys up and they'll get it done as fast as they can for you, man. They've really had it done in a second for us. So it's been incredible working with them.
Okay, now on to our picks portion of the show. Before we get all the way into the picks, of course, we always like to keep up with the standings. Let's take a look at him. James, you're in first. I'll let you break it.
Who's that up? Who's up top? Oh, me. 20-4. I'm 20-4. Scott is 19-5. Ernesto is 18-6. Yantis is 15-9. Ryan is 15-9. Arlene is 14-10. Matt 13-11.
No longer in
Lexi,
last.
12-12.
That's right, boys. No longer in last place. That's what we like to see, but we still got to get those numbers up. Of course, we're all here. We're rooting for Scott. We know that's for sure.
Yeah. Scott doesn't pick the favorite every week.
I pick who I think's going to win every week.
There you go. I guess that's the point of the game. All right, let's get into some of these picks. Chadwick, I'll let you go first. Of course, before we get into all the picks, we want to let you know that the Pitt's picks are brought to you by the Pitt Barbecue. This week the Cover 1 crew will be eating on some delicious jailbreak sandwiches. If you have never heard of them, it's a brisket, peanut butter, and jelly sandwich. I know that may sound weird, but folks, they are incredible. Skip out on the food from the concession stand like the pizza and hamburgers and go get you some real barbecue. The Pit Barbecue at 2330 Sherwood Way, and of course, tell Jesse that we sent you. All right, Chadwick, let's get into some picks. I'm going to let you take this thing over. Central Bobcats first, so give it to us.
Okay, so I'm going to go with the Central Bobcats winning tonight. I think this is the week where they put everything together. They really took a step backwards last week, and I know the coaches really got after them in practice up to this point. And so I have Central winning this one 56, Abilene Wylie 49. And then, of course, the rest of the picks down there. Matt, if you could put that back up on the screen for me.
Excuse me, my fault.
Yeah. I don't have too many friends this week. I got Ernesto, Scott, and Arlene picking the Bobcats with me, but then
Bro, we're
Yantis,
split down the middle. What are you talking
Lexi,
about?
James, and Trammell are the haters this week.
Well, sometimes it's okay to be a hater. We're going to move on to Lakeview. It's Lakeview's homecoming, so that means everybody's got them picked, right? Well, kind of, except for me. Me and Lexi, we're rocking for the Lobos. I got to just rep my boys. I mean, this is just like a Ryan Chadwick Bobcat pick, I couldn't go against them. I mean, we were playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs are always beatable, so, I mean, good Lord. Lobos, can you go get a win tonight? James, let's go to you.
All right, we're going down 277 to Cristobal, Jack Pardee Stadium, Brady and Cristobal. I have Brady winning this one 35-28. I think they just have the experience on offense, and their defense is going to fly around. But don't roll Cristobal out yet. Otho does have a good program there, and they're going to put their fair share of points up. As far as his picks, split down the middle. Ryan, Trammell, me, and Ernesto have gone Brady, and Yantis, Lexi, Scott, and Arlene have gone Cristobal.
All right, Chadwick, back to you.
All right, so in the Miles-Ozona matchup, this is a game that Ozona won last year, but I think the Bulldogs out of Miles actually get one of their revenge games out of the two that they have this year, and I have them winning this one 42-35. It looks like we have a little bit less of a split bag on this one with me, Yantis, James, Ernesto, and Scott all picking the Bulldogs, with Lexi, Matt, and Arlene going with the Lions.
Don't sleep on
I will agree with Matt there. This is probably going to be one of the better games in the Contra Valley tonight. So if you can make it out to Ozona, it's about, an hour and 15 minutes from here?
It's worth it.
Yeah, it's worth it. It'll be a good game.
Another good game that I think will be one of the games of the week, and I think that we're going to keep watching this TLCA team grow, and that would be the TLCA Eagles taking on the Stanton Buffaloes. I got TLCA all the way. I mean, I think that right now they're riding high. Everyone kind of thought, man, is this team going to be able to play without a head coach? You lose your head coach, you never know really what's going to happen. These kids are still playing hard. I think with that, they're going to get a dub. Yantis, Lexi, and Ernesto think otherwise, but hey, I don't really care.
Shoot, I think Honey's got like 600 yards in these last two games, so I think they're going to be fine.
Yeah, I think so too. All right, moving into our last game. I guess I shouldn't pitch to Chadwick. We went to him already. Let's go to James. Last game right here, 6-man action. What's going to happen?
I think Very Best is going to 45 them. I just don't think Panther Creek has played the competition, and Very Best is an extremely good 6-man football team. I have Very Best winning this one, 62, Panther Creek 17.
All right. Well, I don't have the picks graphic for this one, but I know that I do know what the picks were.
Scott, I think Scott's going
best. The only person that didn't pick Very Best was Lexi, and she picked Panther Creek. So there you go. I think 56 to 6. I think we'll get the butt kicked there tonight. All right, this is it for our picks. Of course, stay tuned. We're going to wrap things up in a second, but first we're going to go to one last word from Jim Bass, and then you'll hear our final thoughts.
The latest driving technology is here at Jim Bass Ford in a Ford F-150. Blue Cruise is an available hands-free highway driving technology that allows you to let go of the wheel with confidence while keeping your eyes on the road. It's available on select Ford vehicles, and it's earned Consumer Reports' top-rated active driving assistance system. Be tech-ready with Ford Blue Cruise. Now, drive a 2023 Ford F-150 and get $11,000 in total savings. For this great offer, visit Jim Bass Ford today.
All right, here we go. Final thoughts. James, let's start with you this week. Give it to us.
Man, we are halfway through the season, and there's some good football games. I think Brownwood's playing Waco Connolly. Albany is playing Comanche. Roscoe is playing New Home. There's some good games outside the Contra Valley this week that could be very interesting, that will affect teams in the Contra Valley. So,
Of course, we'll have all those scores on SanAngeloLive.com/scores all night. So make sure you guys are tuning into that. Chadwick, final thought.
If anyone's wondering where the Wall Hawks this week, they're actually off. So Wall fans, you get a week of just watching all the other teams in San Angelo play. But my final thought is for the Central Bobcats, of course, y'all have shown that you can play with anyone. You've won a close one. You've lost a couple of close ones. So let's actually get out there and just put some points up, of course, and walk away with a dominant victory. That's what I want. I want a 2-touchdown win,
We'll see. All right. Well, my final thought with this has been a heavy Levelland show, so you might as well end it heavy Levelland. Go Lobos, disappoint those Lakeview Chiefs, because there's nothing I love more than seeing crying Lakeview fans in the Cover 1 comment section. So with that, I want to thank all of our sponsors, of course, Jim Bass, Destination Ford, Carpet Tech, Intertel, Texas Bank, yours truly, The Pit Barbecue, Hartman Roofing, and of course, this weekend, the Dry Devil Rivers Music Fest down in Sonora. For all the crew here, James Bellini, Ryan Chadwick, our scorekeeper, Yantis Green, Ernesto Rodriguez, Scott Manchaca, Lexi Dyson, Kimberly Mahano, Arlene Torres, the whole crew, Joe Hyde, all of us here at Cover 1. We will see you guys at halftime.